Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the REDX podcast. My name is Andrew. It's been a while since I hosted this show, but I am so excited to be back, to be here, to be talking with some amazing agents and coaches and influencers in the real estate prospecting area and realm of our wonderful industry, right? Today, I'm talking to a really cool guy from Arizona. His name is Sammy DeStefano, and he shares so much amazing stuff. He's a relatively new agent. He's been in the industry, I think, for less than 5 years, about 3 or 4 or 5 years. And he transitioned from sales, automotive sales, into real estate. And he shares a lot of amazing insights about some of the overlap moving industries, a lot of the things that he learned getting into real estate back in 2020 when real estate was really easy for a lot of agents, right? Houses were selling like crazy, but how he had to navigate that as a new agent with competition from other agents and how he built his business from there. So a lot of great stuff coming your way from me and from Sammy. We have an amazing conversation. He also touches, interestingly enough, on probate leads and how he works those. That's not something that REDX necessarily offers, but it is something that he specializes in. So I hope you enjoy the show. I just threw up on screen the kind of offer for today. It is the REDX Complete Objection Handler e-guide. You've probably heard me mention this before if you've been paying attention to the podcast, but this is such an amazing resource for real estate agents. It has objection handlers for any and every lead type you could possibly think of, for expired leads, for FSBO leads, circle prospecting, GeoLeads, for rent by owners, landlords, right? Pre-foreclosures, so many different scripts and ways that you can talk to these people, especially when they, hit you with a hard thing, a hard question, a hard objection, a counterpoint, a lot of ways to handle those and have better conversations and set more appointments. So if you are interested in downloading this e-guide, it is completely free. You can get it at redx.bz/handleit, all one word. Again, that's redx.bz/handleit, all one word. Go fill out your information, download this for free, and start practicing and implementing this into your prospecting calls as soon as possible. I've heard a lot of great feedback from agents who say they love this ebook. Everything is taken from recent agent feedback and interviews that we've done, actual objections people are getting in today's market, actual ways that they are successfully handling those to set more appointments. Go check it out, redx.bz/handleit. You're going to love that. And that's all I have for now. I hope you enjoyed today's show with our guest, Sammy DeStefano. I hope you have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend, and we will talk to you later. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the REDX podcast. My name is Andrew. It's been a while since I've hosted this show. I'm so excited to be here today. I was introduced to today's guest just a couple weeks ago, and I am so excited. We talked last week about Sammy DeStefano as our guest today. We talked last week about his journey, where he's at, some of the niches he works. So he's got a ton of stuff coming your way that's going to be awesome. So a really good show for you today. Sammy, how are you doing today, my man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we're excited. Just a little bit of housekeeping for our audience. Let me see. I got to catch up. It's been a while since I did this, like I said. As always, if you're joining us on YouTube, on Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you're at, please chime in, say hi, let us know where you're from, leave a comment, give a shout out, tag a friend, like and subscribe. As always, we love to see you there, and go join our Facebook groups and our YouTube channel and all that good stuff so that you can get notified anytime we go live, anytime we have a new episode, drop a new video, all that good stuff. So that's all for that. Sammy, I want to learn more about you. Can you talk a little bit about yourself? Tell us your story, maybe your career journey, maybe what got you into real estate, maybe even dive into some of your stats and results if you're comfortable with that. Just
Sure.
Tell us about you, Sammy.
No, I appreciate it. Let's see. Real estate's a funny one, but before I ever started real estate years ago, I had gotten into the car business. at 18, 19 years old, just following a friend that was already doing it.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling BMWs for about 5-6 years, and just went from sales to management to finance management. Really, really great experience. And I found a lot of crossover into real estate when I eventually got into this industry. So I think got into real estate in 2020 and at the beginning of 2020, and really that was an interesting time to get in because the whole market, they kept telling me that that wasn't normal. It wasn't normal that real estate was that active and homes would end up in bidding wars. And but when you start in that is what's normal to you. So I'm actually learning this market.
Yeah. Interesting. So I actually didn't know that about you, Sammy, that you got in 2020 when it was one of the craziest markets we'd seen in decades.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like as a brand new agent to come in? Were you just like making sales like crazy and you're like, this is the easiest money I've ever made? Or were there some challenges along the way? What was that like?
It was hard.
Hard.
You know, for like talking today about that market, a lot of us only remember that it was easy money. Being in that market, everyone told me it's amazing that you're even able to get a listing. So like so many people were listing and selling homes, but when they sold in 2 minutes, the challenge then became, you know, everybody knows 10 agents. So how do you set yourself aside? How do you get in front of that seller and have that conversation where they feel comfortable and confident that you can get the job done better than, you know, the 7 friends they have in real estate. So
sure.
The job was easy from a stance of getting the property sold, but getting the property, getting hired for the job of selling the property was the difficult part. So
that makes a lot of sense because, like you said, I mean, properties were selling like hotcakes, but I bet as a brand new agent, you were up against people in your area, I'm sure, who'd been there for 10, 15, 20, 30 years in the industry, right? So, and I think this is maybe a good principle to cover is, how did you set yourself apart? Like, what did you do in the hottest market, in the craziest real estate, you know, boom that we'd seen in a long time? What did you do to set yourself apart?
I got lucky. I found a senior agent in the market, and I kind of just bugged him until he gave me his time. And then I sat down, kind of explained my experience in sales and, you know, my work ethic, and sold him on me. And, you know, at the time he was a big cold caller, and he was working in the luxury field as well as selling other properties that are not luxury properties. And he taught me how to speak and how to conduct myself in front of clients and at appointments. And I remember one of our first deals was I had found this client that just fired their agent after, I think, 200 days on the market. And, you know, a home will sell for whatever reason. It could be the actual home, or it could be the way that it was being sold by the agent. But we got it. The seller wanted to put some money into it, asked our opinion, and we told him, you know, fix a few things around the house, and then we relisted it. We started the marketing, and I think it was within 3 or 4 days we were under contract for full price of what that last agent couldn't sell for, which was $1.3 million. And I remember the senior agent turning to me and saying, "Don't get used to this. 1.3 millions do not sell in a weekend. This is a very weird market for you to learn." And he was right. You know, they'll take 60 to 90 days sometimes now to sell that house.
But man, that's got to feel good taking a property that was there for so long and on for so long, and actually being able to sell it for full asking price. That's great.
It made me feel good.
Yeah, I bet it was a huge confidence boost, especially at the beginning of your, you know, new career in a tough market. That's awesome, man. Cool. Well, that's great. It's great to hear your journey. It sounds like you've always kind of been in sales and in sales adjacent roles. What did you have to do to kind of shift your mindset or transition from car sales and maybe other forms of sales before that into real estate? What were some similarities? What were some differences? What was that transition like?
Good question. Yeah. I think we as agents, we have to understand that we're actually salespeople. So many times we act like we're not. We're consultants, or we're trusted advisors, and we're trying to like lie to ourselves that we're not actually a salesperson. But the way that I'm being hired these days by clients, you know, to sell their properties or for the job of helping them buy a property, it's because just honest. I am a salesperson. They're looking for a salesperson,
Mm-hmm.
an aggressive approach to getting a job done in a short amount of time. So car sales to real estate, the same thing. One of the similarities is people, So like when I was selling BMWs, and the perspective back then, a lot of my family, when I would come home after work, they'd say, "Oh, how are those? Were you working with snobby people? Are you only working with the wealthy or the 1%?" Because we didn't grow up that way.
Sure.
And it was funny. It was, a lot of times we were selling $70,000 to $80,000, $90,000 cars to like McDonald's managers, where their salary might be 90,000, but he's spending 90,000 too on a car. And BMWs used, get down to $10,000, $15,000 too. So we sold it to everybody, and you never really knew who was who until they wrote the check. And so in real estate, very, very similar. I mean, I helped a client sell a mobile home, and he turned around and referred me a $1.5 million deal. And so, in this business, I've learned a lot of the people I work with, they'll try to become niche, and they say, I only work Scottsdale, I only work $1 million and over. Or at the end of the day, we all have friends, Yeah. And I guess let me ask you, like, do you have, like, are all of your friends making the same income that you're making right now?
No, not at all. I've got friends who make a lot more than me, and I've got friends who make a little less than me, and it's all over. Yeah, that's
So
referrals go in any, referrals seem like they're cross, socioeconomic status, so to speak.
It took me a while to learn that. And it's like, because that's true, if you were to hire me for a job and I did really well and everything I said came true, at the end and your friend asked, and said, I need help doing a similar job, who would you suggest? You're probably going to suggest me, or I'm going to at least interview for the job. And so those referrals took me all over the map. And, so I just learned to work with everybody. The difference, I think, is in cars, you get leads. Some agents pay for leads, but the dealership would pay for leads, and you really just had to talk to people and convert things into sales. Real estate, I was just given a phone and pretty much the phone book, and said you should just call people and try to find the ones that need your help. And that was a lot. It was a lot of work that I wasn't used to.
Yeah, well, I love this philosophy and this kind of mindset of work with everybody, because you never know who's going to be able to buy a house or a car or whatever, or who's going to be able to refer you to someone, because, everyone's got friends, and, some of those friends are wealthy. Some of those friends are ready to buy a home, whatever it looks like. That's great. I love that attitude of work with everybody. And I think that's a perfect transition into cold calling, prospecting for your real estate business, right? Because you have to have this attitude of, I'm willing to talk to anyone, I'm willing to work with anyone. That's got to make making those calls a lot easier. What was it like for you getting into prospecting, getting into this outbound strategy? What was that like for you?
In the very beginning, I realized it was not going to be fun, and I was going to get bored. And so I guess I asked myself, am I willing to commit to real estate? If I'm not, I should probably just get out right now. And if I am going to, I just ask the agents, when you were new, what's the one thing you can do to get the quickest amount of business? And they said to cold call. And that was really scary. So I had my scripts. I joined the Mike Ferry organization.
Nice.
They've been around since 1975, one of the longest coaching programs in America. And I think he's global now, but he gives the scripts away for free. You don't have to pay for them. So you can Google them and they pop right up, Mike Ferry. And I like that because it fit in my budget of nothing. I was brand new. And then I just started cold calling. And when I started cold calling, I used REDX actually, was the data. And it allowed me to call a list of, I think, 50,000 people in my city, just random people. And, the script was just, hey, I'm looking for Mike. Mike, this is Sammy with Russ Lyon Sotheby's. And just want to let you know that we actually just sold Mark and Linda's house up the road in one of my company's sales. And whenever we sell a house, usually the neighbors have some of their own plans coming up. So what plans do you have in the next year? And just being respectful. If they said no, just being respectful and saying, well, you sound like you're happy. Is there anything in the world I can do for you? No.
Nice.
And if you want to go into, calling them forever so that when they sell a house in 10 years, you maybe get it. You could say, do you have an agent? But I never took that approach, as if they didn't need help within 6 months or within 12 months. I knew there were a lot of people that did. So I just moved on.
Today's podcast is brought to you by REDX GeoLeads, one of the best lead types to add to your prospecting toolbox. And here's why. First, GeoLeads creates leads on demand. Every agent needs a constant flow of new contacts that turn into transactions both now and in the future. With GeoLeads, you can connect with thousands of homeowners every month to build a powerful pipeline for your business. Second, GeoLeads are incredibly versatile. They can be used to find motivated buyers and sellers in any neighborhood and at any price point. And finally, GeoLeads is the very best tool for your just listed and just sold campaigns. All you have to do is select an area on the map near your recent listing or sale, click Create Leads, and REDX does all the work to generate a fresh list of leads for you to connect with. When you sign up for REDX GeoLeads for just $69.99 a month, you get 2,500 unique property searches every single month. And with each property search, we typically include owner names and multiple phone numbers, both landlines and cell phones, so you have the best chance of reaching the right people in any neighborhood. If you're interested in prospecting GeoLeads, sign up today at redx.com/podcast and save $150 on your setup fee. Your business will thank you.
So it sounds like kind of a classic circle prospecting, just listed, just sold approach is kind of your cold call strategy early on. Is that right?
That's where I started. It's the easiest script to learn. With the least amount of rejection.
Okay, interesting. And I was about to ask, like, compared to other lead types that you've tried since then or whatever, as a new agent, was it probably the easiest type of lead you could call?
It was.
Okay.
It was. And like I've gotten more respectful over the years. I didn't realize it was a lack of respect. So when people said, well, I'm never going to move, I'm going to die in this house, I would go about it, I can sell for like 800,000, right? So if I sell for enough, then would you? And there's no value there. If they don't have plans coming up and they're happy, leave them alone. Yeah. So now I will do that. And then on the end of every call I make, a lot of times, if I have a good conversation, just like we're having, you at least like me. And then if I'm respectful and I don't push the sale because there's no sale to be had, I just ask, who do you know that could use my level of service coming up the next year? And I have been blown away time and again. Great companies like yours that allows me to try prospecting when I've never prospected. And I have these calls. It shows me the potential when I'm actually on the phone with a stranger that started off with, where'd you get my number? I don't like that you're calling me. And it ended with, you have to call my neighbor Mary because she's planning on selling the house in 3 months. Yeah. And it does happen. It's a numbers game.
Yeah, totally. And what I love that you're saying here, Sammy, is that a lot of people get into the industry, they're told to cold call, they're told to prospect, and they immediately go for the low-hanging fruit, expireds, for sell-by owners. I'm sure we can get into that in a minute, but you went right for what I've always kind of assumed is the most difficult, tedious, kind of scary, daunting leads, which is sort of prospecting and GeoLeads. Yeah, and it differs from agent to agent, right? Everyone has their opinion on what's easiest, what's hardest, but for me, it's like, that is the coldest of cold calls, right? These are not people who have raised their hand recently and said, I tried to sell my home and it failed, or I'm trying to sell my home on its own. These are just people, anyone, right? But it sounds like if you know how to converse with people, if you know how to ask the right questions, if you know how to politely ask for business, but politely back off when you're told no, and then put yourself out there as a reference and a referral, it sounds like it's kind of what built the foundation of your career, right? So
it yields good results. Yeah. And I called other people too. But I think between all the prospecting and the calling, all of my business up to this point, I've never purchased a lead. I guess I don't count buying expired or canceled or for sale by owner or just cold random neighborhood data. I don't count those as leads. I'm more so, a lead is where someone clicked on a button that said they might consider moving, and then they sell that lead to you for a lot of money. Right. I'd rather find my own leads. And the first year, I think I ended up selling 25 homes. And it's because I was under very good mentorship.
Sure.
And I was in coaching. However, the second year was good. It was, I think, 30 homes in 6 months.
Wow.
So I was getting better. But at the end of that 6 months, then I got arrogant and I was like, well, I don't need to work anymore, for this year. So
Right.
I took 6 months off, as we will. We have to deal with the ego as agents. And then the third year, it was the same thing, So we're on trajectory to, the market's changed a bit with how long it takes to sell a home now, but we're on trajectory to hit 40, 45 home sales this year,
Wow.
So
that's amazing, man. Congratulations. What a way to ramp up your career in just 3-4 short years, right? And to succeed so well. I have a question about, so we've talked about circle prospecting, really cold calling. What other leads have you called? Have you tried expireds? Have you tried for sale by owners? What kind of success have you had with them? If you're able to break it down by if you know what percentage of your business comes from each of those leads and then other sources, I'd love to hear that.
A few weeks ago, I broke it down, and this isn't updated, but I think I sold 11 homes so far this year that were canceled or expired. Mm-hmm. To me, that's the same thing. A canceled is where someone fires their agent, and expired is where the agent ran out of time without doing its job, and they're not giving them a second chance. For sale by owners, just people that like to try to sell themselves on Zillow or other websites. We've sold 5 of those this year, and we have one on the market right now. And then we sold a handful of referrals and past clients, 9 referrals and past clients. So, the thing I was that if I could save you any time, if you're an agent watching this, is I was learning by cold calling, which naturally it sucks in the beginning, and then you become comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. And once that happens, you start preferring to talk to people you don't know, because at least they won't ever know you. And then if they do want to hire you, then they like you. So you either have people that'll never hear from you again, or raving fans that you do the job for.
Wow.
I was ignoring my friends and my family. And then once I had a raving fan, a past client, never called them again. So it was a game to me, where I was just wanting to get good at the new stuff. And now I'm starting to see through my coach, he's teaching me, look at how much opportunity. Once somebody likes you, they'll refer you, they'll use you again. They actually want to see you. I have a client that jokes like, oh, I wish I was selling another house, because then we could be in contact, for every day for the next 30 or 45 days. And that's probably mostly a joke, but it's not. It's like, if you really enjoy them.
Yeah.
It's really fun. So now I call everybody.
Yeah. And that's super interesting to me, because, and I'm going to point out another way that I'm hearing things from you different than I hear from most agents is most agents say, no matter how long you cold call for, it's always pulling teeth. It's always a big pain in the butt. It's always hard to get. But I have to trick myself into liking it. And when I can trick myself into liking it, I do like it. And I know it's productive and I get the paychecks and all that's good. But so
that's how I would explain it in the first 6 months of my career. It starts there.
Sure. But I love this attitude of there's 2 groups of people. There's people who already know, like, and trust me, who are going to do business with me one day. They're kind of taken care of. I'll follow up with them every now and then. And then there's people who I don't know if they want to work with me. And if they do, they're just going to like me. So it's almost like this category of rejection and people who don't like you doesn't even exist in your mind, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, you're going to have to deal with no's and you're going to have to deal with rejection. That is totally true. I don't want to minimize that. But it sounds like they don't really occupy space in your mind. You just don't think about them and you work towards the ones who will like you, right?
It's changed. That mindset, there's all these mindset changes, I think, that happen over time. It's changed so much for me because now, like when I was taught real estate in the beginning, it was like, go ask everyone, do you need to buy or sell a house? And all I hear in that is, can you pay me a commission? Can you pay me a commission? Can you? And they hear the same thing. And so and that was like, step 1 of being an agent. The second step for me was like, oh, listening matters.
Right.
So I've had cold calls. It's not always pulling teeth, but sometimes it starts there. Mm-hmm. So I've had cold calls where I call it's just a neighbor. I'm just telling them I sold their neighbor's house and that Tom and Susan are moving out of the neighborhood. And they light up. And maybe they've been called 15 times that week by solar people, 12 agents, 13 investors, and a few wholesalers. So now when I call and I'm real and I'm lived in the city, it kind of feels like I'm probably from India wanting to buy their house, So And when you have that conversation starts angry, and if you just listen to them and you go, oh man, just another agent, I hate them too, it stops them, and they're like, wait, but you are one, why do you hate them? And you have to be real. And so by the end of the conversation, I've had ones that start so upset, so angry, pulling teeth, and within 10 minutes, and this is where it made me a believer, within 10 minutes later, they're like, you know what, I wasn't going to tell you this, but we're actually interviewing agents right now. We've talked with 2 of them, and we're wanting to move up north and retire. And I kind of like you. Are you free Friday? And I'm, in what world, right? And so you have to have enough of those situations happen to you that it makes you comfortable calling. It makes you confident that you actually are offering like good service and respect. And once you turn it into just listening,
I love that.
It's amazing. So fun.
I love that.
People.
Yeah, that's great. And it sounds like you found, the sweet spot there. So that's awesome. I'm super happy for you, Sammy. And I really appreciate you sharing that story, sharing your strategies and your results and your mindset there is huge for a lot of agents, because a huge part of our audience is new agents. Not that you're brand new, right? You've been in for several years, but hearing it from a perspective and a fresh perspective of someone who's been in the industry for less than 5 or 6 years is huge for these people and a lot of our audience base to know, to hear what you can do to be successful, to hear what mindsets actually work. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We're running up on time here, but I want to talk about one thing that you mentioned to me on our first call. This is not something that REDX offers, but it's a really interesting niche that you've cracked into, and it is probate leads. And I know that you have a lot of really cool strategies and insights to share here. So to start out, for anyone who's watching who doesn't know what a probate lead is, could you explain that to our audience? Tell them what it is. Tell them maybe how you got into it, and then we'll dive into maybe some of your strategies.
A probate lead is something you should not work until you've mastered calling and you're already getting business from expireds or past clients or canceleds, because it's one of the longest paychecks. You have to do a lot of things that you normally don't have to do in a normal sale. You have to work with attorneys, which that can be scary because you can't bluff. You can't say things that aren't true because they know what's true. And then you're dealing with people that are going through a hard situation. So a probate lead is usually a family member or a friend that left a house to someone, but they never set up a trust or a will with an attorney. And if you own a house right now, I would probably say within like the next 48 hours, call a probate attorney or a trust and will attorney and pay $2,000 to $5,000 and set up all your properties in a trust or a will. Because when you pass away, we never know when that is. I mean, car accidents happen all the time. And when you pass away, that estate goes to the state instead of who you wanted to leave it to. And then the state causes you to go through court, and you have to hire an attorney at $400 or $500 an hour. And they take a big chunk of money out of the pocket of whoever you wanted that house to go to, because they have to do all the paperwork. So the attorneys are the good guys in this sense. The bad guy is, I guess you, because you didn't leave it in a trust or a will. And so the state doesn't know who it should go to. So a lot of times you're interviewing for the job of helping a mother or a sister or a daughter that just lost her parents sell the property so that they could actually get the money out of it. And many times those people don't even live here.
Right.
So I have to present and interview how we do our business over a Zoom call like this, and then send them the agreement that we work up so we can all work together and get the home sold in the time they need. And I work right alongside the attorneys. So now, I've been fortunate enough that I've worked with a lot of attorneys, and now they trust me and they refer me amongst each other. And, we've been able to help several families this year going through the probate process. So it's one of those things. It's not a huge amount of business source, but I really like helping those people. So add it to your business. Don't try to make your whole business probate.
Right. And it sounds like it falls into this category of kind of sensitive lead types, right? You've got pre-foreclosures and short sales. You've got probate leads. You know, you could maybe even tie divorce leads into that category, where you want to be sensitive, you want to be kind, you want to be patient. You know, you want to really not be this overbearing, salesy, aggressive approach, right? You want to be patient and kind and understanding. But it sounds like your way into these, you know, kind of this niche of probate leads was through relationships with attorneys and lawyers. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Probate attorneys. Okay. And so if someone has a well-established business, someone watching this show, and they say, okay, well, that's a niche that I'd like to get into, what would be their first steps to maybe introducing themselves to probate attorneys, getting their foot in the door and getting involved in this, so that they can go help those families that, you know, maybe need these options?
First thing I would say is learn what probate is, which is a big process. There's classes and certifications on it, but the biggest reason why attorneys tell me they hire me is because so many agents will lie and say, absolutely, I do the probate sales. And they're thinking, you just list the house and put it online and it sells. I mean, I'll do that. And when they start realizing, oh, I might have to show up at court. I might have to submit legal documents. I might have to pay out of my own pocket. I might have to pay to put up cameras at the property because these people live 7 or 8 states away and the attorney wants access to those cameras too. Like, it is so much work, and sometimes they take 6 to 9 months for the sale to actually happen. Right. So I think the biggest thing I did was I learned about the process and then start talking to attorneys. You can buy probate data out there, but more importantly than anything else, like, I have created a big network with agents around the country in other states. And so if you ever have a client that says, my parents just passed away, our first question to them should say, should be, first off, my condolences. And second, do they have any property in another state that needs to be sold? We never even think about it. But you can refer that client to me, and you're doing 2 things that'll be beneficial is, of course, I'd love to get more business and help more people, but I'm actually going to handle it well. And you can earn, a referral for taking off, a lot of the headache of if they worked with the wrong person and it never paid you. Right. So I do like connecting with agents out of state, and I get a lot of business that way as well. So.
That's interesting. And a question that came to mind is, these families are obviously in a tough situation, right? Someone they love dearly has passed away very recently. They're working with an attorney maybe who, that can be stressful, that can be expensive. Have you ever found that being, working these probate leads and these people in this situation, have you ever found that you can be kind of a sensitive middle ground for information and guidance that maybe they should be getting from their attorney, but that might be a little scary or intimidating or expensive? And you're offering them some of the guidance and education that they may not otherwise be able to get?
Yeah, a big value I think I offer the people that are going through probate that end up hiring me is I just say, let me keep your attorney bills low. And I tell the attorneys that I say this, I understand the process, and I talk to the attorney for free. And I'm already talking to them weekly about your case. So don't sit on the phone. Don't text, don't email your attorney questions, because every single minute they read it, it's billed and logged. And so, if I can sell your property in the amount of time you're wanting it to happen, if I can keep your attorney happy, because they're busy and they're not usually great at empathy, and I can keep your bills lower, now you can start seeing the reason why I get hired to do it. So,
and I think that's one of the huge advantages of having a sales background and having a career background that's heavy in communication and relationship building, is what you said, is empathy, right? A lot of these lawyers I'm sure are just trying to get them through and build them as much as possible. And you can be there to be their friend, their advocate, and really show that empathy while they're going through a hard time. That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, Sammy, we're up on time here, but it has been a great conversation. It's been 30 minutes that has just flown by. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anything else that you want to say? Any last words before we wrap up here?
I would just say, I coming up in the business and getting my business to this level was from watching videos like this. And that's why I agreed and wanted to do something like this, because it's so much free value. I'm amazed that these aren't offered for sale. And I would actually call the agent that did the interview and ask them questions, and they were always, kind enough to teach me. So if you have any questions, obviously I'm all over the internet. My name is right there, and we're realtors, so we're easy to find on Facebook and Instagram. But my phone number is 919-454-6482. I just cover the Arizona market. So
Amazing.
If you know anybody coming this way, I'd be more than happy to interview for the job of helping them.
I love that. I love that. Well, you heard Sammy. If you have anyone who wants to buy or sell in the Arizona state area, hit up Sammy, and he'll be your go-to agent. Sammy, thank you again for joining us and talking through all this. It's been great to hear from you, and great to hear your journey and some of your strategies there. To everyone who is watching and listening, please like and subscribe on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to listen. We do episodes every single week. You can catch them live on YouTube and Facebook, or you can catch them afterwards in their audio forms on your favorite podcast platforms, or just watch the reruns on YouTube as well. So check that out. Sammy, thank you again so much, and we will see everyone next week, same time, same place, Thursday, 1:30 Mountain Time, right here. See you, Sammy.
Thanks, Andrew.
Talk to you later.